Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on Arrow Season 6, and this is going to be my trailer breakdown for episode 23 of this season, the finale of Arrow Season 6, otherwise entitled Life Sentence. But of course, before I get into the rest of the video, let's actually watch that trailer.
Diaz doesn't go down easy.
This is my city!
There's enough explosives in here to send us into orbit.
You got 5 seconds! 5! Move! 4!
It's a trap.
3!
I'm gonna kill you.
2! 1!
Arrow season finale this Thursday at 9/8 Central on the CW.
So last episode was arguably one of the best, if not the best episode of the season. I was looking through the comments of my review and stuff, going over everyone's opinions and stuff, and there was a lot of people saying it was a 10 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10, something along those lines, and that it was their favourite episode of the season, which I can completely understand. For me, I think I still enjoyed episode 21, the court case episode, a bit more, but last episode was still a really, really good episode with hardly any faults, and did a perfect job in setting up the finale, so you have to give kudos to that. But essentially the big things to talk about are essentially the downfall of Team Arrow in regards to its bunker and everything like that. It's going to be interesting to see where the hell that goes going forward. But then also basically everything around Diaz sort of starting to crumble. Not completely crumbling, it's just that he's not in control. And as we know, Diaz loves to be in control, and when Diaz isn't in control, he gets a bit angry, and we saw parts of that happen last episode where he killed Lydia Casamento, as well as that other quadrant leader who I don't think they've actually given a name to, but he just died. But the end of the episode actually ends off with Oliver meeting with Samandra Watson, the FBI agent from the first half of the season who was chasing down Oliver's ass, and he bargains a deal with her, and well, we don't hear the second part of what that is, but Oliver does admit to her that he is in fact the Green Arrow. But before we go over this trailer and break it all down, we will quickly go over the synopsis for this episode, just because that's what we usually do. It's nothing interesting, but we always do it, so let's keep to tradition. But before that, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below throughout the video, you know, your thoughts on the trailer, what you're looking forward to most, and your different opinions on what to go over in this video. Just let me know all of that downstairs in the comment section down below. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on the video to show support. And also, because it's the last Arrow trailer breakdown of the season, would be awesome if you could show support by dropping a like. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. With a new ally on his team, Oliver engages Diaz in a final epic battle. So really, the trailer is pretty self-explanatory. The first thing we actually do see is Oliver working with the FBI. You do see him actually talking to Samandra Watson here, and you can see like the eye of the FBI jacket, but the FBI jackets in like all media and different films and TV always look the same. It's like the yellow lettering and stuff. So this is obviously an FBI jacket, and it's going to be Oliver along with Team Arrow working with the FBI, and it's a part of their deal that we saw at the end of last episode. Now Oliver is bloody on his face here, and we go to another shot when it looks like he's looking at Diaz where there's no blood on him, so you'd have to think this is after maybe not the final battle with Diaz, but at least one battle with Diaz throughout this episode, because it looks like Oliver went through, you know, a decent fight at least. Now, Oliver does say that Diaz doesn't go down easily, so it's hard really to gather context as to what's going on in the scene, whether Oliver was victorious or whether this is even after the final battle or not. It's sort of hard to tell. But one theory that I've had, and I've talked to some other people about, is that Ricardo Diaz might not die in this season. He might get away. Now, I'm not saying he wins. I'm just saying that he manages to escape and get out of Star City. That is a possibility. But we will talk about that later on in the video when we talk more about some spoilery stuff. We also do see Wild Dog working with the FBI, and as I said, Oliver would have made a deal with all of Team Arrow to do so, but you mainly see it's, you know, Oliver and then Wild Dog. So maybe because Renee had been talking to the feds or the FBI earlier in the season, and they know that he's Wild Dog, he's willing to go out there and, you know, work with them. But then people maybe like Dinah Drake and stuff and Curtis might not do that because they don't know that they are vigilantes. Like the FBI doesn't know that they're vigilantes. That's why we're seeing Wild Dog and Oliver specifically working with them. We'll have to wait and see. We do see there's bombs everywhere, so my guess is that this could be a backup for Diaz. Like if he doesn't win, you know, if Oliver stops him from, you know, taking over control and taking him down, you know, Diaz might be like, well, if I don't get to control this city, if I don't get control like I always like to have, then neither can Star City. Well, Star City can no longer live. So he has this bomb. Now, it's a bit cliche. It is very cliche, but I think in this situation, it's going to be very Oliver versus Diaz in this finale, and they sort of need some of the other characters to do something. So having these bombs there, I guess, is that, you know, that job that they can do. That's what I'm gathering from the trailer, at least. We do see Quentin Lance hugging Laurel. Obviously, we didn't get any of them last episode. Not even a bit of Quentin in like the mayor's office. We didn't get any of them last episode. So I'm expecting a decent amount of Quentin and Laurel throughout this finale, because you got to remember, not just because they're father and daughter from different Earths, but they have both betrayed Diaz now. So they are definitely both on Diaz's target list or hit list, whatever you want to call it. And Diaz might have them captured, and maybe that's why Team Arrow are going so hard after Diaz in this certain area. We'll have to wait and see. As I said, we only see a quick scene of Quentin and Laurel together, and it's them hugging. But this is a good sign of like Laurel or Black Siren's redemption, which once again we'll talk about again in a couple of moments throughout the video when we get into spoiler stuff. But I'm really looking forward to seeing the outcome of this, because this has been a whole season, more than a whole season, starting from season 5, build up and lead up to this, and how all of this is resolved and how all of this ends. But now we're just going to get into some spoiler territory. So if you don't really want to know any of these spoilers, even if it's minor or major, I'd recommend you leave the video. But if you are leaving the video, just drop a like, let me know in the comment section what you're looking forward to most, and if you're new, subscribe, all that good stuff. But yeah, let's get onto the spoilery stuff that, as I said, some people might find spoilery. Now, we do in the trailers see Laurel crying, or like with tears in her eyes saying, "I'm going to kill you." Now, this is most likely towards Diaz, because who the hell would it be towards? I guess it could be towards Oliver, if Oliver maybe did something wrong, and maybe Laurel thinks that his actions led to something. But if we're going off what's happened in the show, you would have to think it's being directed towards Ricardo Diaz. So this could be Laurel talking to Diaz or having a go at Diaz after he kills Quentin Lance. Now, there is also a shot of Oliver looking pretty upset in the hospital, once again, most likely after Quentin's death, after he's like taken to hospital and confirmed dead. Now, Paul Blackthorne, who plays Quentin Lance, it's been reported that he's leaving the show. Well, not reported, it's been confirmed he's leaving the show. Like, the actors retweeted stuff about it, said it's, I've had a fantastic X amount of years on Arrow, but now it's my time to leave and stuff. He's doing a new show on NBC, so it's obviously a job that probably a bigger role and also a higher paying role than what you can get on the CW. So kudos to Paul Blackthorne for taking that job. And yeah, so I think Quentin was always counting down the time, because a lot of people did think he deserved, well, not deserved, but should have died in season 4. That's maybe when he should have died, and he's sort of been a passenger for the past couple of seasons. But yeah, he's going now. And it's going to be interesting to see how the show handles it. And it isn't some like tacky death. Hopefully it's a death that affects everyone on the show, and it's something that we don't forget about, next season, like, which is something that happens on these shows a lot. Like, people just forget about the deaths a couple of episodes later or by the next season. And we also know Oliver will be going to prison. So he made a deal with the FBI at the end of last episode, but they were going to talk about a second thing. That's what Samandra Watson was about to talk about. Now, we didn't hear what that second thing was. The first thing was Oliver admitting that he's Green Arrow. The second thing, we didn't hear that. We didn't hear what they were talking about. Now, that second thing, which will most likely be revealed, you would think maybe at the beginning of next episode. However, they could leave it as like a thing towards the end. Like, maybe Oliver keeps it a secret and he doesn't tell the rest of Team Arrow or Felicity or anything about it. The second thing is that the FBI will help him, but Oliver will have to go to prison. Because he's admitted to being Green Arrow, he'll still have to take the fall for what he's done. Because you got to realize, Samandra Watson was embarrassed earlier in the season. Like, Oliver played her a fool. Like, she would still be annoyed. Like, she's willing to help him to take down Diaz, because Diaz is, well, still a massive threat. He's trying to take over Star City, if not already done it. But Oliver, was still a target of theirs. So that's what I think could be happening here, and that's the second agreement. And Oliver, I think, is just being a sacrificial lamb in this case, or being the scapegoat, saying, look, this is worth it. If it's worth saving Star City, he's the savior of Star City, it's worth it for him. And I think that's what we're going to be seeing happening in this finale. Whether it gets revealed at the beginning of the finale or somewhere towards the end, I think that's going to be roughly what the second deal was between the FBI and Oliver. Now, Sara Lance, or Katie Lotz, who plays Sara Lance, will be in this episode. She's only in a couple of scenes, so I'm guessing it's around the hospital with Quentin. I'm guessing like Diaz shoots him. He gets to hospital, but the injuries are too much. But it would have been really sucky if Sarah didn't get a scene to say goodbye to her dad, because I think one of the big salty moments that a lot of fans have in the show is that Sarah never got to say goodbye to Laurel. But along with this, Sarah actually does get to interact again with Laurel. This obviously being the Earth 2 Laurel, but I'm really intrigued to see stuff around Laurel in this episode. Not only her final moments with Quentin and what happens with her and Diaz, but also her interaction with Sara Lance and where that pushes her on as a character. like the main characters in this finale are obviously going to be Oliver and Laurel, and then I guess Diaz as well on the side because he's the villain. Now, as I was saying before, Diaz, will he get away? I think he's going to survive. Like, I think he's going to survive. There's still a large chance he could die because that's what the villains usually do. They die on Arrow most of the time, or they get locked up to a point where we really won't see them return. But I think he might survive, and it's still going to be, or he's going to still be a part of next season's story with the Quadrant, or if they decide to call it the Ninth Circle, whatever they're doing, with all that setup. So I think it'd be weird with all the setup that they've done the past couple of episodes if he were to just go away. So what I think is going to happen is that he's going to bail from Star City. And maybe there's going to be another person that comes in and tries to take it over, and that could lead into season 7 where Oliver feels the need to get involved with the Quadrant, or maybe it's like a personal vendetta come season 7 where he's actually going after Diaz after what he did throughout this season. We'll have to wait and see. Let me know what you think of that, whether you think Diaz will survive this season in the comments, because I think he will. And that would explain why they maybe took so long to introduce him as a character and probably delve into him, is because they weren't really setting him up for the end of this season, but for like next season as well. Now, Black Siren Redemption, will she be fully redeemed in this episode? Well, I don't think she will, because I think it's a bit too rushed. However, I think it's going to be a massive step up, and it's going to lead into season 7, where once again, if Diaz does survive, that's going to be one of her main goals, is going after him, and it's going to be a massive inner battle for her, whether she's going to kill him or try and seek justice and get him locked up and something like that, like be a true hero like we usually see. It's going to be interesting. As I said, Laurel, Oliver, and Diaz are the characters I'm looking forward to the most. I think everyone's looking forward to in the finale because they're the most interesting people this season. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how all of that is wrapped up. In regards to other cliffhangers, look, it could be us just seeing the Diaz. Maybe they tease that Diaz is dead or something like that, and then they show that he's alive and he's with the Quadrant or something. That could be one of the cliffhangers. But the big cliffhanger would have to be Oliver in prison. I'm pretty sure that's the last scene in this season, is Oliver being locked up. So that's the big cliffhanger. And apart from that, I'm not really expecting too much. Like, if it's going to be a cliffhanger, it would be that obviously that Oliver one, then maybe a Diaz one, and then maybe a Laurel one. The Laurel one could maybe be her masking up and being a vigilante. That'd be interesting. But that might be a bit too much. So they might leave that for season 7, and maybe in the off season, in that massive, like, a couple of months between the seasons, in like the Arrowverse timeline, maybe she started doing vigilante work. And that could be something that they pick up in season 7. But yeah, just quickly, I just want to thank everyone for their support on Arrow season 6. Like, the fact that I get to do this as a job and just get to talk about the shows and have fun and everything like that is awesome. I know sometimes with Flash it can be negative, like, you'd think Arrow would have a lot of the negative people in the comments, but I think Arrow is usually a bit more positive, and I think it's because it's a bit more of a niche show. But I have really appreciated the support, whether it's liking the video, just having a chat, or talking to me on Twitter or my Discord about it. I really do appreciate the support from everyone in regards to this season. And if you stayed positive like I have throughout the season, and you knew that this season was going to be good come the end, then I thank you. If you wanted the negative people, then that's fine. But hopefully you appreciate that we were right. Arrow is still good come the end of the season. But yeah, thanks for all the support this season. It's really hard to put into words how much I do appreciate it. And I thank every one of you for, whether you watch every single Arrow video or just a couple every now and then, I still appreciate it no matter what. So yeah, thanks for that, guys. If you enjoyed this video, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like. Let me know in the comments section down below all of your opinions. And of course, if you stuck around and you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. And I'll catch you later, guys. Goodbye.